Hello, my friends. Today's date is January the 29th. And this is a reading for you if this is your birth date, or if this is an anniversary or a special occasion date. But primarily, this is a birthday reading for the year to follow. It is a 4 card pull, a general energy card, a challenge card, an action you can take to stay in balance card, and an outcome or synopsis card. So, this is the general energy card for the year. It is the seed. And what does the seed ask us to reflect upon? Well, the seed asks us to reflect upon those things that have been planted uh, that will feed the next generation. And often those things that are planted not only are good things to eat and good things to grow and good things to help, but they're also the seeds of fear, the seeds of pain, the seeds of shame, the seeds of a lot of negativity has been, well, since the beginning of humans, the beginning of man, the beginning woman, the beginning of consciousness. You know, the the bite out of the apple, the knowledge of quote good and evil. You know, they're the seeds that have been planted for us to do our healing work around if they're bad seeds, you know, and or negative seeds. So all those seeds that we often, those energies that we get from our parents, those energies that we've gotten from teachers and adults who have looked to judge and to blame and to make wrong uh, and to throw a lot of guilt and shame and negative emotions at, that came usually from their own parents, and that came before from their own parents, and that came down lines of particular cultures and particular family styles of how to be in the world and how to be on the earth and how to live your life and what rules you need to live by. And so those seeds, while many of them are good seeds about, you know, keeping the clan going, keeping the family going, being respectable, sharing love, there are higher principles that have guided us along the way. But there are negative principles that have been the pain that many families have carried generation to generation to generation. And for some reason, this card is coming up today as something to look for you to reference on, reflect upon over the next year. What is your particular challenge this year? Well, Five of Swords. Feeling guilt or throwing guilt, feeling shame or throwing shame. A picture of a father looking like he's lecturing a child down below who's in a corner, who's cornered, who, you know, there's some shadow, there's the child, the feeling of guilt and shame, possibly from the child, or anger or repulsion or whatever is the sense that the child is feeling when someone is pointing their finger at them and blaming. And then there's apparently a mother energy that's, you know, not necessarily supporting the child, but is more like putting their arms in front of their waist, which often to me says they're protecting themselves because they don't want to be accused and they don't want to be put to blame and they don't want to have the negative judgment thrown at them. And so there's this whole sense of uh, parenting that is a challenge when one person rules and everyone has to give up their power to them, and that one person throws a lot of blame and guilt at them. And how do we break from this cycle? How do we break from this cycle? How does the mothering part of ourself become nurturing and listening? How does the fatherly part of ourself become accepting and guiding, without, you know, the sense of throwing guilt and shame and a lot of pain that has been passed on, that is the seed from past generations, that has been passed on as the way you need to perform, the way you need to be, the way you need to act, who you need to be in this world, how you need to be in this world, the rigidity, the negativity, the staunchness, the uncaringness to hear what a child might really be feeling, or uncaring to hear what a spouse might be willing to hear, or uncaring to hear what yourself, deeply within yourself, might be holding pains around and might not be willing to hear from yourself about your own pains of growing up and your own pains of being accused, your own pains of being abused, your own pains of being negated, and those times when you've taken on, the senses of unworthiness or unlovableness or evil or wrongfulness, that we often hold, then because someone has judged us that way, then we hold that pattern in ourselves, and we hold that pain in ourselves, and we don't know how to get ourselves out of that judgment. So this is your challenge, to work toward healing this paradigm, to understand that these seeds, these issues that you hold now, are seeds that have been built, coming for a long, long, long time, as long as humans have been in form. And that is one of the challenges of how to deal with guilt, and how to deal with shame, and how to deal with resentfulness back toward others who throw guilt and shame at us. So what is the action that you can take? Well, I think the action you can take is selflessness. The turkey is kind of the sense of a selfless character, who gives of their body, that gives of themselves, so that the clan and the family, the person, can eat. They're not difficult to kill. They're grounded birds, so they have been, a sustenance for us for hundreds and thousands of years. Turkeys have been feeding us. So there's, a sense of a selflessness, a selfless service. So what does that say to us? Well, it means to give of yourself, to let yourself be used, to let yourself be honored as a giving being, that has a lot to offer, that has a lot to share with others. And when we share from that heart place, when we give from that heart place, that consciousness of saying, well, I'm fed when I feed others. I'm loved when I loved others. I'm become fully human and become fully compassionate when I become fully human, and share my compassion with others, saying, well, you need this, and I can do this for you, and I can help you with this, and I can give this to you, knowing that that always comes back to us, and that always breaks that cycle of being a bad and unwanted and unworthy and unlovable being. That I think is the pain that sits through this, is, get up. You might feel painful, you might have some guilt, some shame, some anger, some resentment. But if you give your hand in love to another person, if you give your hand in sharing to another person, then you're opening yourself up again, and you're receiving something you didn't get in those earlier situations where you had to close up and you had to close down, and you locked those painful feelings inside of yourself, and you didn't know how to move forward. In the sharing of love, in the sharing of gifts, in the sharing of self, does one heal a lot of what is the generational passing down of the family pain. And there is a family passing down of pain. Mothers and fathers often learned how to be mothers and fathers from mothers and fathers before them, who might have been absent, who might have been angry, who might have been resentful, who might have been full of guilt and shame, who might have been full of rigidity about how to be on this world and who to be in this world, and these are the rules you have to follow, but that was passed down to them from outside of themselves, usually from their own parents. So, it's this long line that we get to look at to heal, and that, after all, is what we're here for, is to learning to be our most fully loved, authentic, loving selves, and to heal a lot of the pain and the shadow that doesn't need to be coloring our souls and coloring our existence. And when we and when we can face those old pains and do it with a light of compassion and a light of sharing and a light of, it's going to be okay. Do you plant a new seed for growth of humanity? Do you plant a new seed for the enlightenment of beings? Do you plant a new seed for the honor of yourself, and for the honor of your family line, and for the honor of humanity, to come to places where upliftment, encouragement, and sharing of love and grace and compassion become the norm, and not the family traditions of pain that stay the norm that keep us down and keep us locked in. Ahom Mitakuye Oyasin, blessed be.